Hey guys, Logan Johnson here. Welcome back to my channel. The ban list is finally here. We waited so long for this list up until the last day of August, and it's finally here. And I think it's a very good one for the long-term healthy Yu-Gi-Oh! In terms of the short term, I think there's some stuff that's very, very questionable, but let's get right into that. So first off, Phoenixmith Lacrima. This is a very, very healthy hit, and this is one that I actually had mentioned on my list that I thought could be banned. And I think it was one of the few people that actually had this card mentioned anywhere. The burn effect is just way, way too dumb. It's very unhealthy for the game. It's creating dogwood battles, stuff like that. And also, it is a hit to the Fiendsmith package. I don't think it's a super significant hit. I think it makes it so that the Fiendsmith package is a little bit weaker to droll, because this is a good play under droll. And I do think it makes it a little bit worse going second. Moving down, we have Apo and we have Beatrice. These are two obvious ones. I thought these would get banned. I think most people thought these would get banned. I think these are both very good long-term hits. We don't have to deal with any of the Beatrice turn skips. We don't have to deal with, every two-card combo just starting with Apo. And then, once cards get better and one-card combos are now making Apo and comboing, then it's ridiculous. Very good hits there. The big surprising one is Calamity. This is one that I think most people had on, their want list or their honorable mentions. Most people did not think it would actually happen. It finally happened. That is amazing. That's so healthy for the game. Very, very, very good long-term for the game. Moving on to limited, we have Ava. I don't think this card will do that much. I think the decks like Drytron, where this card could be good in, it doesn't actually benefit as much as people think, because some of the Drytron cards, the newer ones, lock you into machines and stuff, and it makes the deck kind of flow a little bit weird. And it doesn't really use the old style of Drytron. But moving on down, the Snake Eye hits, these ones are weird. I think this is what I'm talking about when I say short term. This might not be the best list. Snake Eye Ash to 1 and Poplar to 1. Snake Eye is still a playable deck. Snake Eye Cash is a playable deck. Snake Eye Fire King is probably a good deck, probably one of the best decks. And once the Azamina cards come out, this deck is probably going to be back to tier 1. So I think these are good hits in terms of it reduces the power level. I think hitting Beatrice reduces the power level a lot. You lose a lot of starters. Makes during Poplar just that much worse. You have to start with Poplar. Your Bonfire is probably going to have to get you Birch a lot of the time. So the power level of Snake Eye way, way down from where it was, but the power level of the game in general is down, so this is probably still going to be a tier 1 contending deck. Although I think it's going to be in a lot of different forms, and it's going to be more unique and easier to hand trap, easier to counter. So I think for now, I think these are good hits, but it's kind of a wait and see. I want to see what the meta does with these. I think Snake Eye Fire King will probably be one of the best decks still. Moving down, the two Gimmick Puppets, very, very good for the health of the game. Removing an FTK. The deck can still FTK, but it's much harder. It's 2 3-card combos now versus a 1-card combo. Very, very healthy hits. I'm surprised they hit these this early. Very happy with this. Moving down, Branded Fusion. This is a weird one. I thought that the better hit would be Albion or Gimmick Puppet or Ido, something like that, but I'm happy they touched Branded in some way. I think the deck needed to be hit, because any meta, post-ban list, Branded has the potential to just be the best deck. So I'm definitely glad they hit this. I think hitting Sanctifier would have been a better hit, but this is okay. Moving down, Opening. This is another one I had on my prediction. I think this is kind of the obvious hit to Yubel. It doesn't touch Phantom. It doesn't touch Throne. Those cards are expensive. People want to keep those cards. They want to retain their value. But I do think hitting Opening makes it so that the deck is less consistent in terms of their starters. It's less consistent in terms of their premium extenders. And I do think banning Beatrice makes it so that the deck can't end on Desiree that often, so the deck is going to be more susceptible to cards like Dark Ruler No More, Book of Eclipse, Take cards, stuff like that. So while I do think Yubel will probably be the best deck or a top 3 deck in the meta, I don't think it'll be as oppressive as it was previously. Just for the fact that I think the deck is more beatable with a variety of options, including hand traps and board breakers. Moving down, the hits to Tempai were Sanguine Summoning and Prosperity. I'm so glad Prosperity got hit. This card is broken. This card is so good in every degenerate deck. It's so good in Tempai, where you can search for cards like Rivalry, Feather Duster, Raigeki, Dark Hole, anything like that. Amazing hit. Another one that I had on my list as well as Sanguine Summoning. I thought they would probably hit Prosperity to 2. I didn't think they'd put it straight to 1, but I'm happy that they did. I think Tempai is still a good deck, and I think post ROTA, I think Tempai will probably be back into the tier 1 conversation. But I think as of right now, I think Tempai takes a pretty good dip in the meta, and it'll be kind of relegated to a rogue deck for a little bit until our Rhoda comes out and they get Furos and the Dominus Impulse card. Moving down, that grass looks greener. This is a big one, controversial. In my opinion, I don't think this card is going to be that impactful. I think the decks that are going to main deck this card, the 55, 60 card decks, I think they're inconsistent. I think they're bricky. This card is going to get ashed a lot. You're not going to draw this card a lot. I think that's fine. I think where this card really has a cool home is in the side deck of like pile decks, like 45, 50 card decks. When you go second, you can side a copy of that grass looks greener inside thrust. And when your opponent's comboing, they use, 10, 12 cards out of their deck, you can grass as a go second card and try to break boards with it. I think that's actually a really cool home for this card, and I'm looking forward to seeing that in some decks like Tier Limit. And then the last one in the limited, Skill Drain. This is one that I had on my list. I think most people had this going to 1 or getting banned. Very good hit, hits the runic decks, hits the Whitewood decks, and it makes it so that Snake Eye can't just side deck 3 this card at any point in time. Very, very good hit. I will say I do think Runic Fountain probably should have been hit, or Runic Tip, but we'll discuss that in a later video. Moving on to the semi-limits, all the Dragon Rulers, I had these all going to 3. Makes sense they put them to 2. Konami likes to move things from 2 to 3 over a longer period of time. Lunalight Tiger, this is one that I could have had on my prediction. This card's not that good anymore. It was good like 5 years ago. I don't think it's really going to change anything. I don't think there's any deck that benefits from this. Thunder Dragon Colossalus, I don't think competitively this changes that much. I think it makes it so that pure Thunder Dragon can be like a tier 3 viable-ish rogue deck. I'm not really even certain about that, but it definitely makes it so that people can try that deck and, take it to locals, maybe take it to the regionals and do well. But competitive-wise, high-level play, I don't think this changes much. Ib is irrelevant at 1. Ib is irrelevant at 2. It's probably irrelevant at 3. I think that it's an irrelevant hit in my opinion. It's fine. Moving on to the Unlimits, got a lot of these right. Armageddon Knight, Time Seal, and Ancient Fairy Dragon. No problem with any of these going to 3. Same with Plush Fire. This card got an errata, like officially today, I believe, so no problem with this card at 3. Kirin being at 1 versus 2 or 3 doesn't matter. Same with Danglong. These cards are both 1-ofs anyways in most decks. I mean, technically Kirin, sometimes you could play more than 1 and maybe try to do something, but I don't think that card has any effect on the game at all. The only interesting one here really is Red Rose Dragon. This card was kind of cool back in the day with like the adventure cards and stuff like that, but I think in the current format, I don't think this does much. I think it could be a boost to some of the Synchron pile decks that people like to play, but overall, I don't think any of these limits, unlimits, or semi-limits really have a very big effect on the game. This is kind of just more cleaning up the ban list and making it less cluttered. There wasn't any major unlimits like, Change of Heart or cards like Snatch Steal, Pankratops, stuff like that. But I think what this ban list did overall was improve the health of the game long term. And I think going forward in the short term, they can improve the game more than they did on this ban list. But that's my initial reaction to this list. I'll try to get a more in-depth video, maybe a tier list of what decks I think will be good with some sample deck lists such as that in the future. But for now, if you guys haven't subscribed already, please do that. I would really appreciate it. And thank you guys for watching. Peace out.